From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday attended the Philippine Coast Guard or PCG's founding anniversary held at the port area in the city of Manila. Celebrating its 123rd anniversary, the PCG continue delivering unwavering public service and fulfilling its commitment to maritime security, maritime safety, maritime law enforcement, maritime search and rescue, and marine environmental protection. The PCG remains steadfast in maintaining vessel safety and standards, upholding rules and regulations at sea, and saving people's lives. As what they abide in their credo, professionalism, dedication to duty, hard work, and courage, Coast Guardians exhibit these prime qualities in times of disaster response and maritime cooperation. By 2028, the PCG envisions becoming a world-class sea guardian committed to saving lives, securing maritime jurisdiction and transport, as well as conducting sea cleanups. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Congratulations to the Philippine Coast Guard on your 123rd founding anniversary. With the theme, PCG at 123, matatag, handa at maasahan tungo sa mapayapa at mapanatag na bagong Pilipinas, we are here to mark more than just a foundation day. We are also here to honor your legacy for over a century and to recognize the good work that you have done in the past few years in the changing climate, especially in the West Philippine Sea. The story of the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, mirrors the tale of our nation. A country defined by its relationship with the sea. Our maritime borders have borne witness to foreign vessels sailing in, some carrying the promise of trade, others cloaked in conquest. In fact, one of the earliest institutions established by the Americans upon their arrival was a coastal defense force to safeguard our shores from outside threats and to keep an eye on our seas for smugglers and for contraband. What began as a modest force of steamers patrolling the coastlines has now evolved into a dynamic organization that guards our borders, implements marine laws, and serves as the first responders in times of calamity. The transition to a civilian agency in 1998 marked a significant change in how we approach maritime security and environmental protection. With the shift from a solely military function to a civilian Coast Guard, you have been positioned to engage in broader collaboration with other nations, opening doors to cutting-edge technologies and critical resources that now strengthen your ability to serve with greater competency. Indeed, your emergence as a key player in our nation's maritime security reflects your commitment to service and exemplifies how to advance while remaining true to your core mission. You protect our maritime borders, standing resolute in the face of those who would exploit our resources or threaten our way of life, rescuing our fishermen on the sea when typhoons strike, and ensuring that our seas are not pillaged by illegal poachers. You are the steady hand that keeps us upright. While some see waters as merely a boundary or a resource, you enlighten our people on its true significance. Our seas connect us, sustain us, and are integral to our identity as Filipinos. Every rescue mission and every enforcement of laws against illegal fishing or environmental degradation sends a powerful message, a message that we can count on you whenever it matters most. As we look ahead, we must recognize that the challenges you face are growing more complex. Climate change, rising sea levels, and geopolitical tensions mean that the stakes have never been higher. Patrolling a coastline that spans over 37 million kilometers and watching over an exclusive economic zone is no small feat. But to do this, with the added weight of isolation, the dangers of an unpredictable sea, and the constant pressure of protecting our resources, then it becomes more than just a job. It is a responsibility that speaks to the core of what it means to serve this country. You are the vigilant stewards of peace and order upon our seas, ensuring that the rule of law prevails across our waters. In the face of tension, it is your calm resolve that prevents disputes from turning into conflicts, demonstrating to the world that embracing dialogue and cooperation is the true essence of strength. This is manifested as well by our awardees, to whom I express my gratitude and my deepest congratulations. Words and awards are always never quite enough to express our appreciation for your unwavering commitment and tireless service. This administration reaffirms its support to efforts that will improve your fleet and our air assets as well, to maritime domain awareness, weapons capability, and necessary infrastructure development. This will boost your capacity to respond to any operations. Be assured, you're never alone in carrying the weight of this mission. Therefore, I enjoin you to work with other concerned agencies in fulfilling your mandate of ensuring the safety of life and property at sea, protecting our environment, and enforcing maritime laws. Before I end, allow me to recognize our First Lady, Lisa Araneta Marcos, who recently joined the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. This is not surprising because of her commitment to preserving our marine environment. May each of us also find it within us to be a member of the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. And I see some of the prominent members who have also joined the First Lady in becoming part of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Well done. And so as we mark this 123rd anniversary, let us not simply celebrate the past. We must commit to the future, a bagong Pilipinas, where the Coast Guard continues to symbolize courage, resilience, steadfast dedication to our people. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang Philippine Coast Guard. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s satisfaction and trust ratings saw a slight increase in October. In the Tangere survey released Monday, conducted from the 16th to the 19th of October, bared that the President's satisfaction rating increased to 46.9%, up from 46.4% in the previous month, while his trust rating rose to 59.3% from 58.8%. The pollster noted that support for President Marcos was strongest in northern and central Luzon. The highest levels of satisfaction and trust were reported among younger respondents aged 18 to 35. The highest levels of dissatisfaction and distrust towards President Marcos came from respondents in Mindanao and those aged 51 and above. Senate President Cheese Escudero maintained his position as the highest-rated government official, with 52% of Filipinos expressing satisfaction with his performance. Escudero's trust rating also remained high, with 3 out of 5 respondents saying they trust him. House Speaker Martin Romualdez also saw a slight rise in his satisfaction and trust ratings, which reached 46.8% and 57% respectively. Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo's satisfaction and trust ratings remained the lowest among top government officials at 39.1% and 43% respectively, considering that a significant portion of the public remains unfamiliar with his performance, particularly from socio-economic class D. The Tanghiray survey polled 2,000 respondents using a mobile-based application with a margin of error of plus-minus 2.2% and a confidence level of 95%.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday called on 2 government agencies for a sectoral meeting at Malacañang Palace. The President met with key officials of the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, and the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST. The DOST presented to the Chief Executive updates on the development of the e-mobility industry in the country and its target of achieving an environmental-friendly and progressive transportation sector. On the other hand, the DILG, led by newly installed Secretary John Vic Remulla, presented their plans and programs to President Marcos. Remulla formally assumed office last week after taking his oath of office before President Marcos Jr. Secretary Remulla replaced former Interior Secretary Benher Abalos, who will run for senator in the 2025 midterm elections. John Vic's brother, Jesus Crispin, is the current Secretary of the Department of Justice.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Philippines Office of Civil Defense, or OCD, on Monday said it has activated the Charlie Protocol, the highest level of emergency preparedness, in 7 regions in response to the potential impacts of tropical depression, now Tropical Storm Christine. The regions under this protocol include the Cordillera Administrative Region, or CAR, Regions 2, 3, 5, 4A, 4B, and 8, all of which are identified as high-risk areas in the event of an emergency. Region 1 and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM, are currently under the Bravo Protocol, indicating a moderate risk, while the National Capital Region, or NCR, Region 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, and Caraga are classified under the Alpha Protocol, representing a low risk. Meanwhile, Region 11, or the Davao region, is presently assessed as having no to very low risk. The OCD is actively coordinating with transport agencies to issue travel advisories, particularly in areas anticipated to be impacted by the tropical cyclone. As the threat level continues to escalate, the OCD is intensifying its efforts to provide timely weather updates and conduct pre-disaster risk assessments, gathering critical data from technical agencies to enhance emergency preparedness and response. Regional offices have been instructed to elevate disaster preparedness measures and to communicate any additional support needed to the central office. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, response clusters are also scheduled to convene to discuss the activation of relevant national response clusters. The OCD remains committed to the effective dissemination of information through various channels, including its social media platforms and official websites.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Philippines Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, on Tuesday said they have recorded an initial 1,813 families, or over 2,300 individuals, affected by the rains brought about by Tropical Storm Christine. Currently, most of those affected came from the Bicol region and Socsargen. Based on data from the DSWD's Disaster Response Operations Monitoring and Information Center, as of 6 in the morning, 184 families, or equivalent to 737 individuals, were temporarily staying at evacuation centers. In relation to this, the DSWD assured that there is enough funding to provide aid to those affected by the rains. The DSWD currently has a total of 2.9 billion pesos in relief resources, including stockpiles of food and non-food items, as well as standby funds.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on the Philippine government's preparations for Tropical Storm Christine, the Department of Agriculture, or DA, is closely monitoring the possible effects of Christine in the agricultural sector. Based on the latest estimates by the DA, the storm might affect around 1.3 million hectares of standing crops in regions 1, 2, 3, 4A, 4B, 5, 8, 13, and the Cordillera Administrative Region, or CAR. Of the total, around 1 million hectares are for rice fields, wherein 14.53% are in the seedling and vegetative stage, while 44.5% are already in the stages of maturity. The DA is also monitoring almost 207,442 hectares of cornfields, wherein 71% are in their maturity stage. Earlier, the DA issued an advisory to farmers to harvest their crops early in preparations for the possible impact of Christine. Because of possible gale warning, fisher folks were also advised not to sail in the seaboards of Isabela, Aurora, Polillo Islands, Catanduanes, Northern Samar, and the eastern seaboards of mainland Cagayan, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, and the eastern seaboard of Bicol Region, Quezon, and eastern Samar.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC, on Tuesday lauded government troops for the capture of a ranking Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army, or CPP-NPA leader in northern Luzon. The Army's 5th Infantry Division and the Philippine National Police, or PNP, in Bacara, Ilocos Norte Province, arrested Simon Fierriao Naogsan Sr., also known as Filio and Wyatt, on October 21st. NTF-ELCAC Executive Director, Undersecretary Ernesto Torres Jr. said, Naogsan's arrest was a major victory that marks a decisive blow to the remaining communist terrorist elements in the region. Torres said this success highlights the effectiveness of the whole-of-nation approach, which unites the military, police, and community in neutralizing the threat posed by these terrorist groups. Naogsan faces multiple charges of murder and attempted murder filed before the regional trial courts of Ifugao and the Mountain Province. His arrest follows a series of military operations aimed at dismantling the NPA's leadership in the Ilocos Cordillera region, further weakening the insurgents' operational capabilities. Torres said the people of northern Luzon are rejecting the lies and violence of the communist insurgents, thanks in part to the government's enhanced services in geographically isolated and disadvantaged conflict-affected areas.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippine government has so far repatriated a total of 636 overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, and 32 dependents from Lebanon amid continued intense air and ground attacks by Israel against Hezbollah. In a social media post on Monday, the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, said, the latest arrival of 76 OFWs safely landed at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA Terminal 3 in Pasay City via Emirates EK332 on Sunday evening. The DMW said each OFW returnee received immediate financial assistance worth 75,000 pesos from the DMW's Action Fund, 75,000 pesos from the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, and 20,000 pesos from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD. Additional financial assistance of 20,000 pesos each was also given from the Office of Tingog Party List Representative June Asidre. The Department of Health, or DOH, on the other hand, provided free medical consultations and psychological first aid to the repatriates upon their arrival at the airport. They were also assured of available training from the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, to help them start anew, while the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, also assisted them in finding alternative employment opportunities. Meanwhile, OWA, through its welfare officers deployed in Lebanon, assures continuous assistance to OFWs who decided to remain despite the intensified fighting, and to those waiting for their exit clearance from the Immigration Authority. OWA also reminded all OFWs around the globe to renew their OWA membership to be assured of continuous assistance and protection. Since OWA is a membership institution, there is a membership contribution worth $25 or about 1,400 pesos depending on the exchange rate. The validity for each contribution is 2 years, regardless of contract duration, change of employer, job site, or recruitment agency. After that, OWA membership shall be renewed provided there is proof of active employment. OWA members are entitled to various benefits, including welfare assistance, calamity assistance for active members and their families affected by natural disasters, repatriation assistance including airport assistance, temporary shelter, psychosocial counseling, and transport services and education and training assistance for OFWs and dependents, among others. OWA membership may be renewed through the OWA mobile app, the OWA regional or overseas office, or at the OWA booth located inside the NAIA Airport departure area.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.820 MHz, and 12.010 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.